we are in the presence of a celebrity right now. This is
We are.
She did the Super Bowl commercial with Bill Murray and Jeep.
That's it right there.
This is it. This is the one that started it all.
You planned that.
No, I did it, but yeah, that's cool.
Could we be in line for something funny to come out of the mouth?
Just might happen. What a little key.
She's the best.
Everyone deserves to feel their best. Everyone deserves to move their best and not have pain.
I'm a little upset that Ben got like 2 inches taller because he's already tall, dark, and handsome enough.
Culture is something we think about like all the time at Strookies. You know, we're all coming from different cultures.
Our comments have exploded
Through the roof.
So there you go. So, funny little thing about podcasts and when you have hosts, it's nice to be back together. It's been a few weeks since you've had the Ben and Jeff show. So thanks, brother, for holding it down.
You're welcome.
In my stead while I've been away. Is that the right word? Stead?
Sure.
What was the word you used? You were going there.
That's right. What was that word? That was a few weeks ago.
Pro something.
Yeah. I don't even remember.
Anyway,
Chris will put it up there on the screen.
We need a Lancaster Connects dictionary. Funny words said by these two. But it's funny as you're ramping up for a show, you pick yourself up, you might jibber jabber back and forth at each other a little bit. And we got on the subject of haircuts because I'm a little out there.
See, I can't tell. I mean, you can tell because it's like your head.
All right, and then I said this coming from a guy who has that haircut, which was the haircut on the thumbnail for the promotion of the image, which Ben readily, I'm not picking on him, but
no. Ben
readily agrees it's not great. And so there it is. And I'm actually freshly coiffed in that picture. I appreciate that's the haircut I go for. But my hairstylist has been away. Our schedules haven't linked up. So
you've been away.
I've been away. So I'm shaggier than I prefer. And then I said, well, my son got a bad one a little while ago. And teenage boys right now are like, my son is, he's a young teenage man to the point of like the typical stuff, but like he's really into cologne. Like, this is a whole thing. Like TikTokers recommend cologne, and like these teenage boys are all over it. So for his birthday, he actually wanted to go to King of Prussia Mall, and we went to Bloomingdale's and Macy's to the counter, and all the people were great, and they're like, yep, here comes another teenage boy with mom and dad's money. Let's ring it up.
I don't think I've ever worn cologne a day in my life.
I know, like Old Spice, Brute.
I smell like deodorant.
Right. Like I
hope I smell like deodorant.
Yeah, my son has probably spent more on cologne, and he works. It's his money, but he's probably spent more on cologne than I ever have in my life.
Oh,
and it's just not something I really get.
That's interesting.
And I've been with my wife for 25 years, so like, I had a few years as a single man, so I didn't know. The funds and reserves for cologne was shortly lived. But anyway, his haircut is bad right now because he got a bad one. He looks like Lloyd Christmas from Dumb and Dumber,
like right across the front.
And you've got one of those, huh?
Well, not currently, hopefully, but yeah, I do have a Lloyd Christmas phase. It was very short lived. I got my haircut like I don't know. In college, I had a ponytail, and then after college, there was some randomness going on up there. But yeah, one of the haircuts was straight across the front, and then of course we took a family photo, and there it is. Well, that's not my family photo, but that's what it looks like.
Memorialized,
and it's in my parents' house. And every time I go there, I'm like, why is this photo on the wall? They probably love it.
Yeah,
Mom and Dad, I know you like it.
So if you're feeling frisky out there, Lancaster Connects audience, and you want to put a photo of your bad haircut in the comments, we'll get you something fun. Like maybe I'm looking at our travel pillow and blanket bundle pack. We've got our flasks, which we don't have at hand right now. But if somebody puts, we'll do like, if there's multiples, we'll pick the best one. But
you're suggesting a bad haircut.
I'm suggesting a bad haircut contest. I think that could be fun.
It would be fun.
Yeah.
Can I enter? Because I could probably win.
No, you can't. We have to do the whole like speed reader disclaimer like they used to do on radio and TV for the contest. You cannot be involved. Can't be family and friends. Can't know the odds of the contest. That kind of thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, but anyway, it's good to be back. I've been traveling a little bit. I was in Guatemala last week. This dovetails into our wonderful guest that we have here. Trips like this are always a good reminder of all that we have, all that we're really blessed for here, where we live, for what we each have. Guatemala is obviously an emerging nation. The city, Guatemala City, is very modern, largely safe. The area where my father lives, who's retired there, I was checking in on him with his health. He's in a largely safe area, and but he's there because my aunt and uncle, who actually lived on Harrisburg Pike, in and around where the whole hospital campus is.
Oh, wow.
The house has since been taken down, but yeah, they lived in that area. 1998, they moved down to Guatemala to San Rafael al Adoro, which is way up in the mountains east of Guatemala City. And they have a medical mission, a clinic there. And they do a lot of really great work. So these are some photos from the clinic. And, I shared these out on my personal Facebook page about hard. Like Ben and I, we work hard at what we do, but it's not hard work. Hard work is what these folks do in these villages and in all over the world.
Mm-hmm.
These villages, they're 8, 9, 10,000 feet in the air. And, it's subsistence living. They cut firewood today to earn money in the morning, and that feeds them tomorrow night. It's very much a kill today, eat today type of thing. This photo on your screen, there's people that live back there in those shacks, and they're more well off than most. Most have a cornstalk wall, cornstalk roof. If you're well off, you have like the tin you see on that block building in the foreground. You have a tin roof, dirt floor. You're sleeping on a dirt floor. There's a lot of breathing problems for people, especially young kids, because they have just a fire pit in the corner like 500 years ago. And so that's a hard life, right? Like you see these roads, like this is hard living. And it's funny, you might, if you look really close, you can actually see like a paver road there. The government just came in and threw this down and didn't ask anybody, didn't ask any local representation. They just did it. And of all the things these people need, who they really don't have cars, they walk everywhere. The last thing they needed was a paved road. And that's just disconnected. The white things you see there, that's farming on the side of the hill. And you're looking at, on the left, about maybe 15, 20 degree slope. On the right, maybe 30. 35. So this is hard living. These people speak Quetzal, which is a Mayan language, if I'm recalling that correctly, but not Spanish. So even in their own nation, they're removed through language barrier. And so it's hard living. Here's another sad case. So the day I was at the clinic, when I took these pictures, my uncle ran out with some other pastors who were in the area doing mission work, and they went to visit 2 old women. Sadly, as you age in these cultures, it's generational living. If you're not productive, if you're not working in the field, if you're not going to market selling something, if you're not able to support the children and do laundry, if you're not productive, you don't get fed. And so often the women outlive the men. So often they're visiting old women, taking food to them because they're literally starving to death.
Can't imagine something like that.
Right. So this is hard. And yet, in spite of all that, this picture, when I first looked at it, kind of choked me up. You see the smiles on their faces. So we'll kind of transition here. Like, in spite of all that, these young ladies, these young girls had a smile on their face. Hard. That's how they live. And we think we live hard. We think we had a hard day. We're blessed to do and get to do what we do in the place we do it. And it's part of the reason we bring you this show. We get to show people that are doing other hard things. And so with that said, we'd like to welcome back to the show an amazing guest, Diana Vuolo from SWAN4KIDS, who helps kids that have a hard life. Right, Diana?
Yes, we do. And hey, Jeff, we have a young lady that I know who's a member of our church who was a baby in Guatemala as an orphan.
Oh, wow.
And I know those orphanages are not in great conditions. And sometimes they're even tied to the beds, just to keep the kids contained. And it's a lot of heartache there. But I appreciate your father's work there for sure. Yeah. And today we want to introduce you to some of your neighbors in Lancaster who you might not be aware of. And those are children affected by parental incarceration and the resulting trauma. On any given day in Lancaster, it's estimated that there are far more than 3,000 children that go to bed at night with one or both of their parents in prison. And of course, there's a lot of trauma that's involved in their lives. So SWAN4KIDS, SWAN stands for Scaling Walls, a Note at a Time. We connect with these children within the school district of Lancaster, and we help them through both music and mental health intervention. So we'd love to talk about that with you today.
Yeah. I've been, I've communicated offline since we first met. I know you've done a lot with the program, so we'll update what you've all been doing lately and what's to come. But for those that might be catching you for the first time, so obviously you said you work with children that have incarcerated parents, bring them programming through music.
Mm-hmm.
Why don't you said you have some success stories and impact stories to share. Why don't we'll start that way. With some of those great stories, if that's all right.
Oh yeah. Well, music is a wonderful discipline to help all children succeed, and of course, it makes all of us feel better, right? So when we're listening to music, it's a great way to regulate our own emotions, to express ourselves without words, which sometimes when we don't have words to express what we're really feeling, but music can be an outlet for that. And of course, then the children get to work with each other and produce something beautiful that then I think one of the wonderful things about our program is that then the children get to give back to their community by performing for others. And one impact story I have is about a little girl, Annie, who was 8 years old, and she was in a group drumming class in SWAN. And so it's most safe for your first performances ever to perform in a group. So we had a little drumming circle on stage. And when she arrived for the performance, she was crying. She was petrified. And her mother was there. And we told her she didn't have to perform. Maybe this time she'd just like to watch them perform and see how it goes, and learn about that experience from the other students. But her mother was there, and they came to the conclusion or the decision that Annie decided she would get up on stage if her mother sat next to her. So that was her first performance. It was in the springtime, and she successfully performed with the group and was happy afterwards. And then it was in the summer when we had this music camp that you see right now, where our children learned a 30-minute program. Annie's in that group. And then they perform that same program 6 to 8 times, sometimes even 12 times, the same program over and over and over. So all the children, including Annie, were gaining confidence, and they just have this emotional high when they're done, because when you experience trauma, and it often impacts behavior and their ability to learn. And so sometimes the kids are feeling like they fail a lot. But when they perform, they get this immediate applause. They see the smiles on people's faces. And so they have this immediate feeling of success. And so they do gain confidence. And it was at the end of the summer when we were performing at the Southern Market, and it was being covered by a television news station. And afterwards, they asked the children who would want to volunteer to be interviewed on television. And believe it or not, Annie was the first one to volunteer. She was our bright, shining star. She would like to stand in the front row. And she said she loved performing. And she just, she talked about the impact of it. And as an 8-year-old. And by the end of that summer, she had written a song. And it was called Stand Tall. And she said it was about when kids bully her, about how she wanted to stand tall. And so I thought, wow, what impact from spring to the end of the summer, where she went from absolutely crying and in a bit of a panic with the thought of having to perform on stage, to taking that microphone and in front of a television camera, and then internalizing her confidence in such a way that she was able to be on the offense and write this song about standing tall and standing up to people who were mean to her. So that's tremendous impact.
Yeah, really is. Really is.
Diana, for those listening, I mean, we've talked to you actually. I think this might be your third time on the show, at least second. So we've talked to you a number of times. We know a little bit about your background, but for somebody not listening today, maybe you could talk a little bit about your background in music, how SWAN came to be, kind of the inspiration for founding it, and then a little bit about how it works. I know you work with some of the public schools.
Absolutely. Well, I grew up in a little row home in the city of Wilmington, Delaware. And sadly, I had a father who what made it really difficult for the children and his wife, my mother. It was a traumatic upbringing. I honestly at times thought one of us was going to get killed. And my mother used to tell me when my father was going to come up and start, causing trouble for us kids, she'd say, "Diana, get your violin out, start practicing." So I would get my violin out and I'd close the door and I'd start practicing, and I'd hear him abusing the children, my siblings, from one room to another, and he would go right past my room. And so at a young age, I thought, it's probably very important for me to be able to have some control in my life as an adult, to have a career, so that if and when anybody ever treated me like that, or my children, if I were to have children, that I would be able to tell them to hit the road, because I'd be able to support myself and my children and be empowered by having a career. So I worked really hard as a kid. That was my motivation. And I used to practice a lot. And I received, from that little row home in Wilmington, Delaware, I actually received a full scholarship to study violin performance with one of the world's finest violin teachers. She was from Juilliard. And she chose me as one of her students when she came to Philadelphia to teach. And once I received that full scholarship to study with her, I never looked back. I've been able to support myself with that performance career. And then what I realized is I really did want to be a wife and mother. And I married the kindest man in the universe, my husband, Chuck, who happens to also be a pastor. And as a pastor, he counsels criminal offenders. So then I was introduced to the families of criminal offenders, and I started to see how that trauma impacted their lives. So I was at a point in my life where my children were grown, and I thought, I was asking the question, how can I help? So knowing the benefits of music and how it helps children emotionally and socially and scholastically and physically in so many ways, I thought, well, certainly I could offer music. So I founded SWAN in 2011. That's 12 years ago, or 13 years ago. What's my math? A long time ago. And I founded SWAN, and we started by providing free music lessons, ensemble training, performance opportunities for children, specifically for children affected by parental incarceration and the resulting trauma. And it has developed since. It's been life-changing for many children and even life-saving for some. Most recently, though, I'm so excited about a new program that we're offering our students, because along the way, what we realized is that there were two things that were very significant. First of all, we realized that most of our children, I would say of about 75% of our students, don't get signed up for anything. And in Lancaster, there's wonderful nonprofit organizations serving our children. Many of those services are free. But why weren't our children getting signed up for those programs? And we realized, because we do know the families, that many of our families, the parents or guardians, just aren't in a position to be able to look out for their children in those ways. They might have mental health issues themselves. There's a lot of drug addiction, alcohol addiction. The parents aren't there in some cases because they are presently incarcerated. We serve children whose parents have a history of incarceration as well. So there's a lot of reasons why a child wouldn't, in our demographic, wouldn't get signed up for programs. So that's why I'm especially happy that we target children affected by parental incarceration. But as I mentioned, we noticed that they also need help with their trauma. We are serving some of Lancaster City's most traumatized children. They need mental health services, and they're not getting them. So we've added them to our program. Our new pilot is called Rising Stars. And that's an after-school program that has extended hours. So during the school year, our typical programs run for an hour. But our Rising Stars pilot runs for 3 hours after school. And it also continues in the summer for a 6-week full day summer music camp.
Oh, wow.
And during those 3 hours, the beauty of this program, Ben and Jeff, is that our mental health counselors and mentors are actually our music classroom assistants. So while our children are making music and having fun and their emotions are just relaxing and getting regulated, they're also getting to know their assistants, the assistants. But if they trigger, which oftentimes our children do have triggers and behavioral issues, they get immediate help from mental health professionals that they know and trust.
Yeah.
The value of that is extraordinary.
Yeah. And that fills, and I've had the opportunity, you've been so gracious to invite us and extend invites to some of your donor events and private events that you do to raise funds. But, and we've talked offline as well, you're really filling a tremendous void with this Rising Stars program, right? Why don't you share with people what that void is exactly and how you're filling it?
The problem that we're addressing is immense. Actually, there's a mental health crisis among youth, not only in Lancaster, but across our nation. And there are not enough mental health workers to help with that mental health crisis. So for example, if your child was experiencing a mental health crisis, no matter who you are, it would take many weeks, if not months, to even get an appointment. And what we've been told by Mental Health Lancaster, Mental Health America in Lancaster, and the Touchstone Foundation in Lancaster, is that when an appointment is held off for that long, most children won't even show up for it. But if they do, then there's the problem that they won't talk. They're not going to talk to a stranger.
Right.
So for us to have mental health immediately available and for free in an environment where they feel safe, they're creating music, they're having fun, and that's the context in which they get to know their mental health professional. Then when they do have their triggers, which they do, someone's there who they already have a relationship to and they get immediate help. That's unheard of. So that's the problem that we're addressing. And that's what makes our program, Rising Suns and SWAN4KIDS, unique and innovative. It's needed. Now in Lancaster alone, as I mentioned to you, there's more than 3,000 children who have a parent in prison. Well, SWAN won't have enough music teachers, even in Lancaster, to be able to serve all of those children, sadly. But we're trying. And another beautiful partnership that we have is with, of course, the School District of Lancaster.
I'm so glad you touched on that. I want, share with that, because I know that's one of the things we've talked about offline is that relationship you have with them and how they've been such a tremendous supporter of the programming that you put in place.
Right. And as you know, because you've come to some of our special events, the superintendent is always there with his executive staff. And so they see the impact that our program has. But their relationship with the School District of Lancaster is this. They also understand the mental health crisis that their students are experiencing. And what we've been able to do as advocates for children affected by parental incarceration is to show them that their students affected by parental incarceration are falling between the cracks many times because they just aren't getting signed up for programs, after school programs or whatever. So we've been able to bring those students to their attention. And we want, because our program, Rising Stars, which combines the music and the mental health together, it is completely innovative. I don't believe you'll find any program like it in the country. And we want the school district of Lancaster to be leaders by hosting this pilot program in their schools. We will be doing a study of its impact with the school district superintendent and his executive staff. And then after several years, the school district of Lancaster will be able to be leaders to other school districts within Pennsylvania and beyond with the Rising Stars program, which we would hope would scale. It's a very scalable program. And we want this to go across the country because as you know, the United States has one of the highest incarceration rates of any country in the world.
We're live here, so I don't want to put you on the spot, but I know School District of Lancaster. So this kind of goes to, some people might say, well, we spend a lot of money on taxes, and I don't know how well things are going, and I don't know what I don't know. So sometimes people come up with assumptions, but I know that you've had a tremendous amount of support for your program because you've shared that with me. Can you share some of the ways the school district has stepped up to support your programming?
Oh, absolutely.
If that's okay. I don't want to put you on the spot.
Our partnership, they get our vision. They understand our vision. They're passionate about it. And they're willing to support us. Right now, they're providing the venue and instruments for free. They're also providing transportation for our students so that they can get to the after-school program and get home. And when we have special events and special performances, they also will support us by providing busing for both the students and their parents to go to the performances, which is tremendous. They will be talking about, I don't know if they're talking about possibly helping us with some of the funding for our mental health workers, which, by the way, we hire the professionals that are already working in the school district. So that's a great connection in that way. And actually next week, I'm going to be meeting with all of the social workers in the school district. So we have this conversation and working relationship that is building. So because we like to hire not only the social workers and mental health professionals within the school district, but we also like to use their music teachers too. And so we have a wonderful working relationship there.
Yeah. I'm so glad you were able to share that and touch on some of those details that you shared with me offline, because in prior conversations, because I think, it's easy from the outside looking in. You see these big campuses, you see all these vehicles, and you're like, wow, this is so much different from when I was growing up. And the reality is, it is different. Kids face a lot of different challenges today that we didn't maybe face. These devices that a lot of kids have, to the bullying point. When we were in school, the bullying stopped when the end of the day school bell rang. Well, it doesn't stop now because that bullying happens on Instagram and on Snapchat and, through text message and other different apps and whatnot. And so it doesn't stop. It comes home with the kid. So your young musician, I forget, was it Annie with that Standing Tall song is really profound, because that bullying probably continued outside the school and after hours. Right. And so these schools the way that they're stepping up is really great. I'm happy for you and them. That you're coming together that way.
When children perform, and it just broadens their world. For example, our students were invited to perform at the governor's mansion for their open house at Christmas. Now, something unusual happened there. I can tell you that's a story. But they perform for nursing homes. And, I'll tell you another impact story. One of our students, Noah, was very impressed with, most of our children just love performing for retirement residents. And so prior to them going, we always have them create some artwork or a card so that they have a gift to give the residents. And then we give them one goal, which is, let's just put one smile on one face. And so they're going out with a sense of purpose. They have a gift to give that they made themselves, and they want to put one smile on one face. And of course, when they perform, what astounds them is that they end up putting smiles on everybody's faces.
Yeah.
And one of our students, Noah, walked out after his performance at Evergreen Retirement Residence this summer and said, "I felt like a superstar."
That's
So,
awesome.
you know, they're gaining confidence, but they're also gaining their world is broadening and opening up, and who they are as people is developing. So that's going to make it harder for them to bully or to be bullied because they're becoming more aware, you know, of their talents. Another wonderful impact story was one of our students who's a McCaskey High School student, is a very talented pianist and composer. And he and his brother, who's a drummer, they collaborate together and perform for many. And United Way had a special event and invited them to perform.
Mm.
So they performed 4 original pieces. And it was at the end of a long seminar that United Way had. So it was the time for people to have a snack, you know, to have something to eat, drink, and then just be entertained a little bit by our students. And after they performed, they had a spontaneous standing ovation for our students.
Mm.
And then Kevin Ressler, who was then the president of United Way, got up with his microphone and publicly, with a great amount of enthusiasm, said, "And I'm going to commission you. United Way would like to commission you to compose a piece for our new video series." So
cool.
They commissioned them publicly right on the spot. And it was really kind of funny because afterwards, after Sivan got off the stage, he was talking to me, and they wanted to pay him for his work. And he came up to me and he said, "Do you think that I could get $10 for it?" So he actually ended up getting $250 for it. And they absolutely loved his composition. It was very upbeat. It was very joyful. And it was just the perfect thing for their video series. So, here was his first commission, and it was done publicly. So, giving a child, a young man, that validation and security, it's much harder for him to be vulnerable to the bullying, which is so pervasive. And it gives him a vision. We've also had wonderful partnerships in our community. For example, Sight and Sound provided 60 tickets for our students and their parents to come to a summer production of their Moses, which was running last summer. And in addition to that, the kids were given a backstage tour. So for our students,
that had to be pretty cool.
For them to realize, wow, you mean I could sing and use my talent as an instrumentalist in this kind of environment? And what made it even more special was the fact that there were children actors who were there and were backstage to be part of the interview. So they were asking them lots of fun questions. And do you get paid? And how much do you get paid? You mean you can get paid for doing this? And so again, we're broadening their experiences and world. It all empowers children to dream again. And I'd like to just, if you don't mind, just talk about that concept for just a moment.
Please.
100%.
As you were talking about life in Guatemala, as we just take for granted just going past the Starbucks and grabbing a $5 latte and on our way to the office, which looks like this beautiful place I'm in right now, we can forget that our neighbors that are in Lancaster City are children affected by parental incarceration. And what in the world does that mean? When a parent goes to prison, I can tell you that our children suffer from abandonment. And what does that mean when they're babies? And if both parents are in prison, or oftentimes if a mother is involved with drugs, she'll just abandon her child. But then if the dad gets incarcerated too, then what happens with the child? The family starts to pass the child around from one place to another, but no one in the family is really equipped to have this child that's not theirs. So they get passed around like a ball. And And with that, they're exposed oftentimes to violence, domestic violence, as I was as a child. And, it's interesting that once we become vulnerable through poverty or homelessness, couch surfing, then it opens the child up to more trauma, because then they're also taken advantage of because they're left unprotected. And so, then often life with a parent that is addicted to drugs, the parent might wander off for days. We had a student who didn't even go to school until she was 10 years old. She had no idea how to get to school.
Wow.
Because if mom's wandering off for days, she's left to live in squalor. And then she learned that she could support herself by stealing food, and that became successful for her. We're talking about serious issues these children are our neighbors, as you well know. And we do need to look out for them. And I would invite your listening audience to please check out SWAN4KIDS.org. I think it's a beautiful website. It's been donated to us by YDOP, which is a marketing corporation in Lancaster. We have videos, we have pictures, we have impact stories. Sign up for our newsletter because we have student highlights of stories that you'd love to see and hear. And put on your calendars, if you don't mind, our summer celebration, which is on July 24th. Just put it on your calendar. Sign up, check it out, come. Because we can talk about it as adults, but when you see I'll tell you what, if you come to this beautiful event, which is held at the farm at Eagles Ridge on July 24th, not only do you get to connect with School District of Lancaster superintendents, his staff, our teachers, our SWAN community members, such as yourselves, Ben and Jeff, but you also get to actually see our children succeed by performing. And I often say, you're going to come in at the end of your work day and you're going to leave exhilarated. You're going to leave impacted, and you're going to leave inspired. And just the way our students leave empowered. And, when you're crushed by trauma, I often say, adults that would experience such trauma would be crushed as well. Our frames don't have that capacity. So we have to keep breathing in, life. And the wonderful thing is that, amazingly, it doesn't take a whole lot to help. Research says that one loving mentor can change a child's life.
Mm-hmm. Yep, and you've got a whole bunch of them with your organization.
Oh,
and I mean, I've seen the kids firsthand. The two brothers that play drums and piano, I've seen them firsthand. I believe twice now at the farm there at Eagles Ridge, and so just all the opportunities you provide for these kids are just amazing. And as we look to wrap up our time together, I think we'd be remiss not to touch on this. Kudos to you and thank you to you, Diana, for being that one person with that one gift of music to say, I can make a difference. And, you're a special.
Spoke into my life and made a difference for me. Mm-hmm. And, you just want to do that for other kids. And it's such an honor.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you're a special person. You obviously have special talents. And I share this because you are one person, but here you've made just a tremendous difference.
Well, thank
you. As time goes on, that difference is going to expand and be exponential. Because as those kids grow up. And so my challenge to, anybody watching and listening down the road today is you have a gift. Everybody has gifts. Mm-hmm. We all do. They all can be shared with others and, be like Diana, right? The WWJD sticker, maybe, but be like Diana, BLD, be like Diana and take your gift and look into the community and say, what can I do to help my neighbor?
Right.
Right. Because your neighbor may not have it as good as you, may not have the blessings you've had. And just consider that first. And then BLD, be like Diana.
I like it.
Not to be confused with BLT, because that's a good sandwich. But BLD, be like Diana. And seriously, like,
And
look
join
at this,
our
11,
team. Join our community.
yeah. Yeah, and that's a great point. Maybe you're not, maybe that disposition of leadership just isn't in the fiber of your being, but serving is.
Yes.
And being a part of a team is. We've talked about this often on the show. If you can't donate money, but you have time to give, and you feel connected to SWAN, please give that time. Be of service. If it's helping to set up, if it's helping to transport things, I'm sure they will take any help that they can get if you're so called to do that. And we'd love to have that be a connection made through the show.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Yeah. Diana, thank you so much. We've been showing the events on the screen. Anything you want to highlight as we look to wrap up? July 24th is your summer event.
Yeah, circle it on your calendar. It's going to come around quickly. I think that's the highlight of SWAN's year, where we get to celebrate our students and our community. Thank you for having me. Thank you for how you connect Lancaster. It's so important. And we have the most awesome community of philanthropists, of volunteers, of people who care. And that's so evident. That's how SWAN has been able to be successful. It is not just Diana's thing. It is, of course, with all nonprofit, it is a community effort. And so I'm just so proud to be part of Lancaster's nonprofit community.
Yep, that's great. Diana, do you have a few more minutes for a connection cocktail with us?
I sure do.
All right, go ahead.
Very good.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
I've been trying to keep quiet. My throat is like, I've got this tickle and I've had to cough for like half an hour. I'm not trying to be, rude and be quiet, but
Ben's been here in moral support.
Okay.
Yeah,
I feel the goodness of music coming off of Ben here. So anyhow, I love this question. Do you have a word for 2024 that embodies the hopes and goals of the year, either for yourself or for SWAN?
Just one word.
It's
Empower.
Power.
Power.
I like it.
Yep. See that coming through with the mental health initiative.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, love that. What's the next trip you plan to take?
Well, my trips I'm always going to LA. And that's because my two little granddaughters, and of course, my son and daughter-in-law, live in LA.
But mostly the grandkids.
Well, they're 3 and 5-year-old little girls. And every time I get there, grandma's got to go. So that's my next trip planned.
That's
Very
cool.
good. Very good.
That's cool.
And do you have a favorite small business here in Lancaster?
I have many small businesses that I love in Lancaster, but one that I frequent often is the coffee company, because I have a lot of meetings in that place, and the food is terrific. So I frequent the coffee company.
Very good.
Yeah, good place.
But I want to visit you too very soon, so I'll be stopping by your store.
Wonderful. Well, we'd love to have you in. Diana, thank you for everything you do. SWAN4KIDS.org. Yeah, SWAN4KIDS.org is the place to go to connect with everything Diana and her team are doing. Check out that site. Put the date July 24th on your calendar for their summer event. They're at the farm at Eagles Ridge. Beautiful venue. Get their newsletter. See what they're doing. You can donate money. You can donate time. If you can make connections, she would welcome that. Diana, thank you so much. Appreciate
You're
you
welcome.
being on the
Thanks
show.
for having me, Ben and Jeff.
Yep. I love having folks like Diana on our show.
Oh, unbelievable the impact.
Yeah, this is why we've built this stage. We want to invite in as many people like Diana giving back to our community as possible to be a guest. It's why we do this show. We make the investment each week to be here to produce the show for our community. And so our job is to bring in great people. If you know people like that, or you are people like that, and you can BLD, be like Diana, You never know what you're going to get when I start.
No.
Some,
We missed this the last few weeks.
he just shook his head like it was, I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing.
It's a good thing.
But if you can be LD and be like Diana and, just being an incredible human who decides I'm going to share my talents back with the community in any way, shape, or form, and you've got something going on, you've got a charity you're leading, it could be like, who is the gentleman putting?
Dave Chopinoff.
Dave, yes.
Putting for Miracles, yeah.
Yeah, so Dave is one gentleman tying into a charity already, kind of building a team, building an initiative. We'll highlight that. We'll highlight your thing. If you're a business that has a focus on give back, we'll have you on. So you go to lancasterconnects.com/guest, and that gets the process started. That's where you go. So anybody that has a question about getting on the show, that's how you go. lancasterconnects.com/guest, which, by the way, is a good little litmus test, because we often get these messages. Hey, would love to be on the show. How do I be on the show? Well, if you listen to the show, we tell you.
It's right there.
It's like little clues, little breadcrumbs,
Yeah.
or in the movies, Easter eggs, as they call it. It's not so much an Easter egg, but it's the big guy saying it. LancasterConnects.com/guest. So yes, that's where you go. So
You get a sleep better tip?
I do. This is a good one. This comes from Guatemala. So I kind of joked that I had, the big guy who sleeps on a nice mattress and has nice sheets. I had to do it Guatemala style in Guatemala.
Okay.
And if anybody wants to get a new opportunity, there's a tremendous opportunity for mattresses and all things great mattress and great sleep in Guatemala, because the mattress I was on was all right. And I was grateful for a roof over my head. I was grateful for a safe house there with my dad, but the sheets, not so much. And so
what was wrong with the sheets?
Well, that's my sleep better tip, right? So it's not just about the mattress. It's not just about the temperature of the bedroom. It's about the bed linens. And the if we can show that picture, the sheets that I were on didn't exactly fit the bed. They were popping halfway off. And if you've ever struggled with this, it's like, sooner lay down and the sheets are enveloping you.
I hate that.
Yeah.
I can't stand it.
Yeah.
I can't stand it.
Yeah. And so we, here at Gardeners, we have incredible sheets from a company called Dream Fit.
Mm-hmm.
They're wonderful sheets. They've got these bands on. We're actually dealing with this problem right now at home. And my wife, thanks to this guy, has thrown me under the bus and said that I don't have these sheets at home.
Oh, that's right. Yes.
Because we have a king size bed, and the king's like a square almost. And so you never quite know if you have your sheets on right. But Dream Fit sheets have these color coded bands. Might be a little difficult to see, but these are like purple in color and these are white. So you just know the colors go head or toe and you're good to go. They cut the corner of the mattress on the underside so they never pop off. Mm-hmm. Greatly cut, great colors, great fabrics. As my friend Chris Tehaney, the vice president of Dream Fit, says, Dream Fit is solving the world's problems or societal problems one sheet at a time. Mm-hmm. That's a first world societal problem, of course, right. But still a problem all the same. Look, we're a nation of producers and we need to be well rested to go do and live a fulfilled life each day. This is why we have an amazing producer, Chris. Look at that. It brings that up. And so these sheets are great. They do help you sleep better. Micro arousals at night, which is that sheet coming off and attacking you, does affect your sleep. You don't sleep as well and you just can't go be your best. And if you're going to be like Diana, you got to sleep well and be your best each day, because a lot of people are relying on you. It all does matter and it all does tie back. And that's my sleep better tip. If you want more tips without my commentary per se, you can get the book sleep at gardenersmattressandmore.com/sleep-better.
Very good. So we had a testimonial. It's testimonial time here at Gardener's Mattress and More, the business we co-own together here on Plaza Boulevard. We help people wake up happy every morning, and some people that do business with us leave us some nice feedback on the Google machine. So this one, I don't know if you can see there, but this one,
there's the book.
There's the book.
They took a picture of it.
She read the book, and she referenced the book in her review. This was like, this might have came in when we were maybe in Las Vegas or you were away. But she wrote like a book. She wrote a book for
I remember
testimonial.
this.
It was like multiple
good.
paragraphs long, and it's fantastic. So Bree shopped with it. I'm not going to read all the paragraphs. I'll just read one of them. But this was how she wrapped it up. She said, everything has been stress-free so far in our transaction, purchase, and experience with the store and Drew handling the order. Also, if you get a chance, take a look at their Sleep Better book.
Here it is.
There it is. Yep. It has a lot of info and things to think about when going into the purchase of a new bed, which is exactly why we wrote the book. Sleep tips and information, how to handle the mattress buying process, all of that. I wish I had it before I went Googling. It would have saved me some time. So again, precisely why we have the book out there, why we give it away for free. Good, helpful, educational sleep tips and information. It's not a mattress sales guide. It is a information guide to help guide you through the mattress buying process. And of course, sleep tips and information, just like Jeff shared there. So it was really cool to see that review come through because it's exactly why we wrote the book. So
it was a good one.
So thank you, Bree. Thanks to all of our customers. Thank you to Drew for the experience that he provided our customers.
Yeah. So. Yeah. And as we wrap up, it is February, which means it's President's Day, which means one of the big five, in case you didn't know it, there's big 5 mattress shopping holidays a year. President's Day is the first one of the year. Mm-hmm. And so for the first time, we have a We Pay Your Sales Tax promotion going on. And so we'll pay your sales tax. You still have to pay tax, but we take a discount for you and give it to you. And so if what you're investing in is $2,000, you would pay $120 in sales tax on that. Well, we mark down our product accordingly. And so we've got that going on. We've got some great vendor offers from Tempur-Pedic, from Posh and Lavish, just to name a couple. All of the information's on our website, gardnersmattressandmore.com/sales. One thing a lot of folks are using right now is our no interest financing. I kind of like to say it's the lowest rate around because it's 0 for the whole term, and we want you to pay it off in the term. We always counsel our customers to that effect. But if you want to invest in something really great and spread it out over a while, and that's something you can budget for and use responsibly, like all the beer commercials last night on the big game. I shouldn't say the F word because the NFL doesn't like that. But the big game last night, all the beer commercials were drink responsibly. If you can use financing responsibly, we'd love for you to use those things because it helps you get something home that's really great, and you can pay it back a little bit each month, and there's no interest, which is great right now because that's not so the case with other things with interest. And so, but we have it because we're pretty cool here, and we give you great rates on financing.
Yep. Just a final bit of accounting, is that the right word? We had a sponsor in January.
Yes.
Universal Athletic Club, great partner of ours. We do some marketing with them. They've done some things with us, and they were our sponsor for Lancaster Connects the month of January. We had a contest with them to win a bunch of free sessions to their renewal center, and we pulled a winner, and that winner is Amy Park. Amy, you're our winner of the
Congratulations, Amy.
sessions to the Renewal Center at Universal Athletic Club. Will be reaching out to get you that great gift. I think that's it.
Congratulations to Amy Park. So thank you so much. Great episode. Yeah. Check out SWAN4KIDS.org. All the great work Diana is doing. We'd love for you to do that, to make a connection with her and all of her team's efforts and help push those forward even more so. So SWAN4KIDS.org. And next week, we have a show. No, we don't.
No show.
It's President's Day. We'll be busy. It'll be all kinds of people back here going crazy. So we will see you in 2 weeks on Lancaster Connects. Take care.